You may proceed.
As it please the court. Mr. Kayangela, prior to the break, we were still busy with the internal memorandum. You recall?
Yes, I recall.
Yes. And you were allowed during the break to try and see if you can obtain the letter that you referred to from the minister to the other minister.
Yeah, I made such a request.
Yes.
I want to check the letter, but the letter is similar to the one that is filed today. It's only that this one is in small font.
Okay.
That's why I'm thinking maybe it's not the same letter.
It's not the same. Okay.
But it's the same letter, and it is referring to the bilateral agreement.
Bilateral agreement.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
So, then what I put to you, so that letter, it comes after the internal memorandum. It's dated after the internal memorandum. The internal memorandum is 1 July
That's correct.
2014.
That's correct.
So now, in terms of this internal memorandum, here it is referred to as the Angola bilateral agreement. You see that?
Yeah, it seems this is the word that was used.
That was used
Yes, because it is now appearing in most of the letters.
in most of the letters.
Mm.
In fact, if you go through all the letters, the correspondences, as they were allocating the quotas to Nemgomar, you would see that they referred to the bilateral agreement, Angola and Namibia bilateral agreement. There's a number of letters that is under divider 21.
Divide that into one. Okay, the letter of the 7th July is saying Namibia-Angola bilateral agreement.
Okay. And if you turn two more pages, there's another letter, 19 December 2014.
And,
It's marked V4 on top. Turn 1, 2 on the fourth page. 3. Are you there?
that's correct.
Yes. There's another letter from the permanent secretary to Mr. Ricardo Gustavo. And that letter also refers to the agreement signed by the two parties, Namibia and Angola. You see that? It's the quota allocation is subjected to the condition that a progress report on reciprocal activities should be submitted to the ministry not later than 30 June 2015.
Which letter are you referring to?
The letter on top is dated 19 December 2014.
That's correct.
Yes. It also refers to an agreement.
Yes.
Okay. If you turn 2 more pages, 30 May 2016.
Yes.
It's a Namibia Angola bilateral agreement.
Yes, you said bilateral agreement. Yes.
Okay. Then there's another letter. We can skip that one because it's also PP signed, meaning it wasn't actually signed by the permanent secretary.
No, it was signed by. Yeah, it was signed by Kawaria. Yes.
By who?
I think it's Kawaria.
Kavaria. Okay.
He was acting.
He was acting.
That's
And then on 6 June 2017,
6 June 2017.
6 November 2017, sorry.
Yes, it's also referred to the Namibia-Angola agreement.
Angola agreement. And this one was now signed by Dr. Moses, the permanent secretary.
That's correct.
And throughout the sequence, not just in the memo, but subsequent thereto, it has been referred to as, in essence, an agreement or bilateral agreement.
Yes, that's why I say that is the word that was being used.
Okay. And that is also how, according to Mr. Esau's testimony, how he was briefed by the permanent secretary.
I was not there. I cannot say. I cannot dispute that.
Okay. Now, according to Mr. Esau, If you go at the bottom, it says that it is recommended that the Honorable Minister approve the quota allocation of 92,104 metric tons as per the table attached.
Is the bottom of which letter now?
We are now back. My apologies, sorry. Divider 19, the internal memorandum.
Under recommendation.
Yes, recommendation. It is recommended that the Honorable Minister approve the quota allocation.
That's correct.
And then at the bottom he signed, then it's not approved, he approved.
Yes.
And then he signed.
Yes.
Now, what Mr. Esau testified is that, look, according to him, and how he understood it to mean, is that he only approves the allocation, but that the actual allocation would be done through the process where they will determine the total allowable catch, what is available, and then they would then recommend for his approval.
In terms of the Act, he is the only one who can allocate quotas.
In terms of the Act.
Yes.
And if you go to number 21,
21.
divider 21,
Yes.
that letter from the permanent secretary, it also indicates that the minister has approved the allocation. You see that?
That's correct.
And that is what Mr. Esau is saying. The allocation is done by the PS with the team, and then he approves it.
To me, if he approve, if he could not approve, then allocation could not take place. But if he approve, and in terms of the Act, he's the only one who's having power to allocate. As I said.
I can only put this version to you.
Okay.
Yes, and
Which I'm not agreeing with.
which you are not agreeing with.
Yes.
My Lord, it's not really an objection, but this is an inquiry to assist the court. And if my learned friend is referring to one letter which he himself provided this court, and is not referring to a letter again which he himself put before the court. Now he's putting that this is the version of Mr. Esau that he only approves. But if we just move down to V3, my Lord, it's a letter signed by applicant himself, which says, I have allocated. It requires the same quota is being referred there. Now, he's being selective of the evidence which he has provided before this court himself, and now he's saying this is a version. Is he being honest with the court? Can this be allowed, my Lord?
Was he maybe still coming to that?
No,
Mr.
he has gone.
Bierkas?
He has gone past that. He's gone to other folders now.
Because I took note of that.
Thank you, my
By the
Lord.
way, I'm aware of
Thank you.
That document.
Your
was
Lordship, I
presented.
take offense to my learned friend's comments. I certainly do. Even during re-examination, I said, please explain to us the approval and the recommendation, how it works. And that is the version that the witness has given Mr. Esau when he came to testify, that he does not approve. He went on that particular point. He says that only approves the allocation. He does not allocate. That is the evidence on record, his evidence. He was cross-examined on that particular letter. My learned friend cannot every time stand up and decide for me how I must ask my question. If he wants to clarify an aspect, he can clarify during re-examination. But that is the version that the witness testified on. Even on that letter, he said, but that was prepared by the permanent secretary. That's what he testified. He gave an explanation to that letter, and there's no need for me to canvass it with this witness, but just to put the crux of the version that he testified.
Okay, I take note of that.
As it pleases. Now, you also testified that you did not investigate how the companies are normally nominated. You recall that?
Yes, I recall.
In terms of 19, divider 19, the internal memorandum, you would see that there's also reference made to the Namibia-Mozambique agreement. There on top. Exhibit.
Yes,
Yes. And
Yes.
then there are 3 companies that are listed.
that's correct.
And during your investigation, were you able to establish, once the agreement, the fisheries agreement is signed, whether or not it should first be published before the company can be nominated and quotas allocated? It should first be published in the government gazette.
I did not investigate that.
You did not investigate.
Yes.
Now my instructions are that even with the fisheries agreement or the agreement on cooperation in the fisheries sector between the Republic of Namibia and the Republic of Mozambique, what transpired in that particular matter was that there was the agreement that was signed, and prior to the publication of that agreement in the government gazette, these quotas, the companies were nominated and then quotas were allocated.
Yeah, that is not what I was investigating. So I was just sticking to the Namibian-Angola Memorandum of Understanding.
And even under that agreement, the Mozambique agreement, the permanent secretary was the one that recommended the companies to the minister for approval.
I don't have such information.
Okay. Now I want to provide you here with a document. It's part of the disclosure. Are you there?
I'm there.
Yes. Now, according to Mr. Esau, and these are my instructions and they are available online, that the agreement between Mozambique, it's an agreement on cooperation in fishing, in fisheries and aquaculture. It was already concluded on the 15th of September 2010. That agreement was subsequently renewed in 2013, and it was then published in the government gazette on the 16th of July 2015.
I cannot dispute. As I say, I don't have information on the Angola and Mozambique.
But prior to that, there was already a nomination for horse mackerel and quota allocation. Are you that document? Number 1. Page 1.
The same document?
Yes.
Yes, I do have page 1.
There is a letter from the permanent secretary. It is dated the 2nd of June 2014. And it is addressed to the managing director of Bayrama Fishing Pty Ltd, informing him that I have the pleasure to inform you that the minister has nominated your joint venture, Bayrama Fishing Pty Ltd, to apply for horse mackerel quota in accordance with the Marine Resources Act, number 7 of 2000, Article 35, paragraph 2. The validity of this nomination will be guided by Article 14 of the Agreement on Cooperation in the Fisheries Sector between the Republic of Namibia and the Republic of Mozambique.
Yes,
You
I
see
follow.
that? Yes. Now, similar as the letter that was crafted and that was sent out to Nemgomar, these Mozambique companies on the same day were also issued with their nominations. You see that? If you go to divider number 18, exhibit S2,
Yes, I'm there.
yes. The one letter, both letters are prepared. We're going to compare S2 to the first letter that I just provided to you now.
I say the one is having a 2nd of June, the other one is having 27.
27 of June.
Yes. Yes.
But the contents are more or less similar if you quickly compare the two.
Yes, similar, yes.
Yes. So according to Mr. Esau, and these are my instructions, that was the procedure to be followed. The nomination will normally be recommended to him, letters will be prepared for him, and then they will then inform them to apply for allocation.
I'm not disputing that.
And that was not only in respect of the Nemgomar quota allocation, nomination and allocation, it was similar to that in respect of the Mozambique agreement. You will not dispute that?
I'm not disputing that.
And even the gazetted agreement between Mozambique and Namibia, it does not specify the quantities of the quota allocation, nor does it specify the company to be nominated and how this company should be nominated.
I never saw the cassette.
So you're not disputing it?
I'm not disputing because I never saw it.
Now, after the company has then been allocated quotas,
My Lord, it's not really an objection, but I just want to get clarity from my learned friend. Is he drawing comparisons between the Namibia-Mozambique and the Namibia-Mozambique agreement and the Namibia-Angola memorandum of understanding on the basis that they are both memorandum of understandings or they are agreements? Is he alleging that they're similar or not?
Okay.
Your Lordship, that is not what I put. What I put to the witness was clear. In terms of that agreement and in terms of the Nemgomar one, the Mozambique agreement does not specify the quantity, how the quotas will be allocated, how the company will be nominated. That is the version that I put to the witness. I'm not drawing any distinction between the two. I don't see how that creates any confusion.
Is it helpful?
No, it's not. It's not matter. Because at the end of the day, we don't have that Namibia-Mozambique agreement with us here.
At that time,
Yes, but I want him to commit himself because I know that I have that agreement in another docket, which involves different parties. I want him to commit himself that it's to what he's saying before I bring the agreement.
Your Lordship, I believe that I'm clear. My learned friend can't dictate for me how I must do and what I must commit on. I don't even know what I must commit on. What I am saying is that agreement, I can commit myself to say that the agreement between Mozambique and Namibia does not indicate, number one, how the company will be nominated between the parties, the entity, and how the allocation will be done and the quantity of the allocation. That I can commit to.
And you are saying that is similar to the Namibia-Angola
The
agreement?
Namibia-Angola agreement also does not have to contain that.
Alright.
Yes.
That's
I've
what
heard
is-
him, my lord. That's what I wanted him to do.
You may proceed.
Thank you. Now, after the allocation is done, the entity, which is further my instructions, would normally be a Namibian entity. Are you aware thereof?
Yes, I'm aware thereof.
Yes. And the same with the Mozambique, the three that we just went through. On those particular letters, just for convenience sake, if you turn to the second page, can we go back to the 3 loose pages that I gave you? That is in respect of the nomination of Azul Investments Pty Ltd. It's also a Namibian company. You see that?
Yes, correct?
And on the third page, also a letter from the Permanent Secretary for Atlantic Harvesters.
Yes, it's a Namibian company.
Okay. Your Lordship, if there's no objection, I beg leave to hand up the 3 letters. One dated 2nd June 2014, 2nd June 2014, second one dated 2nd June 2014, and 22 July 2014 from the PS to 3 respective companies to be marked as exhibit. I believe the state's exhibits were last XX. Maybe we can make it AAA.
Triple?
Or can we just make it XX?
Why?
I'm a bit lost in terms of the numbering. The last one that I have is 10.
Why?
The XX I saw up to 9.
Why?
I did not see 10.
Why? Sorry, I'm out of the
So we
alphabet.
we should number it Y.
Why?
All right, Mr. Siomunji. Thank you, Mr. Marondese.
None, my lord.
All right, it's marked Exhibit Y.
Mr. Kayangela, once the nomination has been made, quotas have been allocated, these entities, including Mgomar, are then at liberty to conclude catch agreements with whomever they want to exploit the quota.
Yeah, if, to my own understanding, if a Namibian company have been allocated quotas, and there is another company in Angola, they have to enter into a joint venture. They have to form a company, a joint venture company. And that company is the one that have to enter into an agreement with whoever the company want to catch the quotas,
In that respect.
in this respect.
But the quota is not allocated to a joint venture. Like even in this one, it's allocated to the specific companies. Even for Mozambique companies, it's one specific company.
But in the Nangomal matter, as I indicated, the quota were allocated to
But
Nangomal
my
Pesca
lord, I
SA.
don't know why my learned friend is saying these were not allocated to join. These are his own exhibits which he produced. The first sentence says, I have the pleasure to inform you that the minister has nominated your joint venture.
Yes.
Now he's saying that it's not allocated to joint ventures but to individual companies.
Yes. Mr. Biekas.
Your Lordship, the testimony of Mr. Esau was it can only be allocated to a Namibian entity. That is what he testified. So I'm taking it from that perspective. But I can exploit with the witness so that he can explain what he means with joint venture.
All right.
What do you mean by joint venture?
I think I have already explained.
So it must only be a joint venture company in terms of this agreement.
I said there should be a company that should be formed by the two, who were nominated.
Because if you go to the letter of 27 June 2014 from the Permanent Secretary. It only refers to paw print investments, Nemgomar Peshka.
That's correct.
Now the Minister,
My Lord, that letter, you must read the first line of that letter. It refers to a joint venture.
Okay.
So we don't want to place evidence which is not correct on record.
Yes.
It's joint venture.
Your Lordship, there are two letters. I'm referring to the one that was addressed to the company.
Yes, that's
The letter of 27 June 2014 from the Permanent Secretary.
yes, read it.
Your nominated joint venture, Paw Print Investments Ltd, Nemgomar Peshka, in terms of that letter.
As far as I know, Operand Investment was not a joint venture. A Namibian company was never a joint venture.
Mr. Kayangela, we've already established, or at least it has been put to you, that the Minister was not responsible for conducting due diligence and he would not know. He does not know.
I did answer to that question already.
So once, like for example, here they've now been awarded a quota, my instructions are further that the Minister would not know with whom they conclude catch agreements and what would be entailed in the catch agreements.
That can be possible.
Now, you also testified that Mr. Esau benefited from the Namgomar project. You recall that?
That's correct.
And you testified that it was put to you. What does Joanna Stephenson explain about the 600,000 that was paid to Kamadara Trust in his statement? You testified that Joanna Stephenson explained that the 600,000 was paid as bribe money to have access to the quotas.
I never said that it is in his statement.
It's not in his statement.
I never testified like that.
Okay. But the record will reflect. I don't want to back and
Yeah.
forth with you.
Maybe it can be on the record.
Mhm.
You can check on the record.
So Johannes does not explain how the 600,000 was paid and why it was paid in his statement.
He did not explain.
And that payment was made in 2012, the 600,000.
That's correct.
And during that period of time, we've also established that Thames and Atikilipi and James Atikilipi was performing consultancy work for Samerji in respect of the JVs. You confirmed that, you recall?
Yes, I confirm.
Yes. And you also confirmed that they were entitled to receive payment for those consultancy work.
Yes, they were entitled.
Okay. So therefore, if one of James's entities received monies during 2012, you cannot with certainty establish that it was bribe monies.
Part of the money entered into the applicant's account.
Sorry, Your Lordship.
Yes.
Yes, we will get there. Part of the money. What I'm putting to you is that you cannot establish and you have no evidence that it was bribe money because they also performed consultancy work. Is it not so, Mr. Kayangela?
But not the applicant who was doing the consultant's work.
Now, but some of these funds were transferred to one of Mr. Thames and Atikilipi's entities,
That's correct.
and he also performed work.
That's correct.
Okay. And he also signed an agreement with Irongo Clearing, with the Samerji group of companies for consultancy work.
Yes, which according to Stephenson says it was just a dummy agreement.
But we have also established that Mr. Stephenson is not telling the truth because other two witnesses are saying that there was actual work performed.
I cannot say that he's not telling the truth. That is
But that brings the issue of just dummy agreements into question, wouldn't you say?
Don't know why he referred to as a dummy agreement, but what he's saying is that there was no consultancy done.
So despite confirming, let me move on. According to Mr. Esau, the payment of 150,000 that he received from Mr. Thames and Itikilipi was paid into his farming account, PM Farming.
That's correct.
And what he testified was that this 150,000 was in respect of cattle that Mr. Thames and Itikilipi bought from him, and that's why it was paid into his farming account.
There's no such information because we check on with the Ministry of Agriculture by the time. There's no any cattle registered on the name of Thompson.
It's still registered under the name of Mr. Esau.
Then there's no any proof to say that yes, he's having cattle.
Mr. Thames and Itikilipi also came to testify that the 150 that he paid was in respect of cattle.
They are all accused persons, so that is their defense.
And that was in respect of legitimate monies that was paid to him for consultancy work performed.
Cannot confirm that it's legitimate.
But you did confirm that, yes, there was legitimate work performed during 2012, correct?
There was a statement that saying that.
Yes. Now, you also indicated that, or testified that Mr. Esau benefited further under this Nemgomar scheme. What was those benefits? What were those benefits?
There were services that were rendered to him. There were materials that were purchased for his farm from different entities, and these payments were made by his co-accused or the entities of the co-accused.
JTH and Irongo clearing.
So he benefited.
Now, Mr. Esau, you indicated that the works were performed by a certain Rudolf van Wyk. You recall that?
Yeah, but he was not the only one. Yes, he is one of them.
And what Mr. Esau, or at least my instructions are that from the version that you provided the court that his son, Mr. Philip Esau, was the one that approached Mr. Rudolf. You recall that?
Yes, I recall.
Yes. My instructions are that Mr. Esau's son Philip, he approached Mr. Van Wyk at Triple J service station through a friend, Mr. Marx Nuyoma, whereby he informed Mr. Van Wyk that there are some construction works that he must perform for him and his brother-in-law, Mr. Thames and Itikilipi, on the farm of his father.
Yes, the statement of Mr. Rudolph is on the case file.
I'm putting my instructions to you, the version of...
As well, I took that version, I just testifying up.
And he also informed him, this is now Mr. Esau's son, that once he is done with the construction on the farm, he will try and see if he can endeavor and get him more projects with some other engineering firms.
I cannot recall such information in his statement.
And after that, he then went to talk to his father, Mr. Esau, in respect of the construction. As it was previously discussed that Mr. Esau will also build dwellings on the farm, and Mr. Thames and Itikilipi will build dwellings on the farm for himself and for his brother-in-law. Mr. Esau then provided a date for them to go to the farm, but they dispute the fact that Mr. Van Wyk, on that day after meeting Mr. Esau's son, came to the house of Mr. Esau in Windhoek.
The statement of Mr. Rudolph, he said he was brought to applicant's house in Windhoek.
Yeah, I'm just that obviously two conflicting versions. What they
That was a statement given under oath.
But you are aware, Mr. Kayangela, we will be able to, attack the veracity of any statement given under oath, and even
Yeah,
when the
you-
person
you-
comes in the box.
You can.
Yes, it doesn't mean that we must just accept whatever
But that
someone
is-
is putting in a statement.
That is what he's saying. He
Yes.
said he was at Esau's house.
And Mr. Esau is saying he was not there.
Yes, he's saying he
Yes.
was there.
What then happened is then they arranged for a date during 2017 for Mr. Rudolph to travel to the farm. And when he came to the farm, Mr. Esau was also at the farm and pointed out to him where the two dwellings for Mr. Thamson that he must build on the farm.
Yes, he just confirmed what Rudolph said.
And
The applicant showed him where the dwellings have to be built.
that is all that he did. He did not enter into any agreement with Mr. Van Wyk to build any dwellings for him at that point in time when he went to the farm.
I think it was not only the dwellings that he constructed there. If you read his statements, there are a lot of work that he did on the farm.
We will get that. Now, after then, he then started to construct the dwellings of Mr. Thamson Atukelipi, for which he was then also paid. Not by the applicant, by Mr. Thamson Atukelipi, and through his entities, Irongo Clearing and JTH.
Yes, there was also payment made by the applicant. If I'm not mistaken, it's in the amount of 65,000.
We will get there. And during this process of constructing the dwellings for Mr. Thamson Atukelipi and for Mr. Esau's son, Mr. Esau engaged Mr. Van Wyk, and he inquired from him whether he will be in a position to also attend to some construction works for him in respect of the main dwelling.
That's why I say it was not only the dwellings of Thompson and the son that he was busy with, there was also other work.
And what Mr. Esau further testified also, and this is during the bail proceedings, these bail proceedings, is that some of the work that he requested to do was to construct a small dwelling for the workers in walls along the shelf.
That can be.
And
What
Mr.
I can recall is that he said he also put up a butchery, and he also constructed the main gate of the farm. Yes.
And Mr. Esau paid Mr. Van Wyk in full, in cash, for the work that he performed on behalf of Mr. Esau and his wife.
If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Rudolph, he indicated that there is still outstanding money that the applicant did not pay him the time he gave a statement.
He indicated it was about more than 600,000,
300,000.
300,000.
That's correct.
And up to date, he has never issued any summons against Mr. Esau or Mr. Thamson Atukelipi.
I don't know what had happened.
No, I'm putting it to you that he have not.
Possible, yes.
And these monies that Mr. Esau used to pay for the construction works for Mr. Rudolph Van Wyk was monies that it arrived from the sale of some of his cattle and also some of his S&T monies. That is what he testified during the court proceedings.
Like I said, there are some services that was paid by money coming from the entities of his co-accused. There were also other payments that were not coming from him with regard to the work done on his farm.
My instructions are further that these dwellings that were built by Mr. Thamson Atukelipi, he has an improvement lien in respect of those dwellings that he built.
Improvement, what?
Improvement lien.
What does that mean?
It basically means that if you build something on someone's property, that person would be entitled to the value or the amount of money that you put in respect of that property that you have built.
I don't know as to what was the agreement between him and Tanson and the son.
So in essence, it was not for the benefit of Mr. Esau, but for his benefit.
It's the benefit, the things is on his farm. And as I said, that was not the only work that was done on the farm.
And according to Mr. Esau, his testimony, and that was also part of the initial bail application, that he would normally make, and we went through the bank statements, it's part of the record that there would be significant amounts that would be paid into his banking account in respect of the sale of purchase of, or the sale of cattle.
Yes?
In fact, since his arrest, they continued with sale of the cattle. Are you aware thereof? And this was reported to the curators.
Yes, I'm aware.
And it has been in excess, at least since 2020 until now, in excess of 1 million.
I don't know the excess now.
And all these amounts have been reported to the curators. You can't dispute.
I'm not disputing.
In fact, Mr. Kayangela, you testified, let me rephrase. No, yes, you testified that the properties of the applicant is currently under a preservation order, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I just want to correct you on that. It is not a preservation order, it is just a restraint order, which is different from a preservation order.
Okay. If it is a restraint order, I'm not disputing that.
And that,
Thank you for the correction.
yes, and that restraint order is also currently subject of an appeal in the Supreme Court.
Possible, yes?
Your Lordship, as previously indicated during our meeting in chambers, that I have an urgent family matter that I have to attend to. If we can convene, I am done with Nemgomar. Your Lordship, I will be able to hopefully finalize the aspects on Fishrot tomorrow. If we can then adjourn for the day, Your Lordship, as it please the court.
There were documents that we have requested in the morning. I just want to know whether I still have to bring them tomorrow or I must leave them. Because I was trying to make copies, but the photocopy machine, it got stuck. I just managed to make 4 copies of the business profile, but there were others also that was found at the house. I don't know whether you're still interested in those business profile of Samiri.
No, if you can identify that it's a business profile, it's fine. If
They are
it's just a business at the farm.
that were found in his house.
Okay, yes, you can bring, I can canvas.
There were
it
4
tomorrow.
of them, different.
That will be highly appreciated.
All possible, I can read them in the record, just to say what type of business was found there, what profile was found there.
Lordship, the time issue. I wouldn't have time to.
Yes,
Yes,
he was
he can
just
provide me the copies tomorrow morning.
I believe the reason why he's saying this is based on the questions you were posing to him.
Yes.
Okay.
We can canvas that
And
early
then he
tomorrow
wants
morning and
to-
finalize it.
All right.
Yeah, but as I said, the photocopy machine got stuck. It will take time for the service provider to come in.
Are they
We
in the photocopy machine?
I'll check to
Are
the
they
other
stuck
floors.
in the machine?
Excuse me, my lord.
Are the documents stuck in the machine?
No, the machine is just not photocopying.
There should
But the
be-
original documents are
There
here.
should be some photocopy machines somewhere else, Mr. Ganyangela.
Okay, I will try.
including for the state, especially if it's important and if it covers an aspect of your evidence, it will be helpful to you.
I'll try my lot.
Yes. Thank you. In that case, proceedings are adjourned tomorrow at 10 o'clock for continuation.